All right, let's start with the octave. So we're on the B here. We're going to be measuring around this note. So let's go up one string first and look for the next octave up. We're looking for a 12 note distance because there's 12 notes and we're going all the way around the circle. We don't need to look for the inverse distance when we're talking about an octave because if you go around one side of the circle clockwise, it's going to be 12 steps. If you go around the other side, it's still 12 steps, just like if you're going on a clock, right? So if I go up one here, I'm going to call that -5, and then -4, 3, 2, 1, 0, or octave. Now, it's not exactly the octave. It's the same note there, but I'm just looking for where's another B located. I'm not getting into, octave language at this point. I should probably do that, focus on that more later, but that's not, I'm not there yet. That's too detailed for me at this point, So I'm going to say this is going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Boom, boom. So same note, right? You can hear it. It's so cool to have the same note. I used to think if it's the same note that, why would I reach up there because I have one over here? But it doesn't sound exactly the same, right? So, I mean, if you played something around this note, even though, when you finger a note, you have the ability to move it as opposed to an open note. That makes it different. But also, the way it's going to sound when you move it or when you finger it is going to have a different texture, just depending on the string that it's on, how big the string is. So it's still, I guess they call it the overtones, right? It's still going to sound like the same B, the overall pitch. But if you were to see the B on a if you were mapping out the B, you would see the B note, but then there's overtones. There's a bunch of other notes that are kind of playing in the background, and those things are different, right? Depending on the two, so it doesn't sound exactly the same. So you still want to be able to. So that's why it's still cool to play stuff the same exact thing with the same exact notes that possibly are located in different areas of the guitar. I think it's still going to sound different, but that's a side note. Get on to business. Let's go up 2 strings. So that means, wait a sec, if I go up 1 string, the octave is always going to be 5 frets forward unless, of course, I cross the fault line. So this fault line, the whole thing shifts up this way. So in that case, if I go up 1 string, as we can see the octave is here, it's going to be shorter distance. So the rule is if I go up 1 string, the octave is going to be 5 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen if I go up from the B string, in which case if I go up 1 string and cross the fault line, the octave is only 4 frets forward. Let's go up 2. Let's go up to 2 strings. Go up to here. There's the octave. So it's going to be, I'm going to say 5, -5, -10, -11, and 12, or octave. So let's count it out here. So from here, -5, -10, and then wait a sec. From here, -5, -10, and then 10, 11, 12, or octave. So this is possibly the one that people see the easiest, but they usually measure from this string to look at the octave down here. We want to also be able to measure from the bottom string and look at the octave above it. So if I go up 2 strings, the octave is always going to be 2 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on either the B or the E string. So let's look at this one down here. And if I go up 2 strings, there's the octave. So the rule is if I go up 2 strings, the octave is going to be 2 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom 2 strings, the B or the E string, in which case if I go up 2 strings, the octave will be 3 frets back. Okay, let's go to the next one up here. So now we're going to go up 3 strings. So now we're going to go, that's going to be 5, 10, 15. I'll say -5, -10, -15, and then -14, 13, and 12, or octave. So if I count up from here, 5, -5, -10, -15, and if I go this way, I'm going back towards 0, 15, 14, 13, 12, or octave. So from here to here. So that means if I go up 3 strings, the octave is going to be 3 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on either the B or the E string. So on the B or the E string still, if I go up 3 strings, so in which I haven't done yet, right? This string has now opened up, and we haven't really been looking at it because we haven't gotten down to this string yet. So this is the first time we're going up 3 strings. So let's say we measured it from here, for example, then it's going to be up here. So the general rule is going to be if I go up 3 strings, the octave is going to be 3 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on 2 of the 3 possible strings to go up 3 strings on the B and the E string, in which case if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the octave is going to be 2 frets forward. All right, and then let's go down a string. Let's go down 1 and say, all right, if I go down 1 string and cross the fault line, so now I've got -5 this way because I've crossed the fault line. So -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, or octave. Let's count it up here. So I'm going to say -5 up to here, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, or octave. Open B. So that means if I go down 1 string and cross the fault line, the octave is going to be 4 frets back. What if I don't cross the fault line? Which this is the only string on which I would cross the fault line going down 1 string, because if I went down 1 string from here, I wouldn't cross, I wouldn't cross, I wouldn't cross, I wouldn't cross. Even if I was on this string and I went down 1 string, I wouldn't cross the fault line, right? I'm here to here, and I'd still have the same distance. So this is the only, I'm on the exception to the rule. I'm on the fault line. So all other locations, including this location, for example, that's on the bottom tectonic plate, both of them are on the same plate. So I'll have the same distance as though I was kind of up here, right, where I'm off the plate entirely. It's just when you cross the crack, that's when you have a problem. That's why people get paranoid and start stepping over the crack. It's only when you cross the crack that problems happen, man. You step on it and then it's a problem. So if you go, so the rule is if you go down 1 string, the octave is going to be 5 frets back unless you cross the fault line, which only happens on the G string, in which case if you go down 1 string, the octave is 4 frets back. All right, let's go to the next one and down to the bottom. So now we're gonna go down 2 strings and cross the fault line. So if I go down 2 strings and cross the fault line, it's going to be 5 up to here, 10, 11, 12. So let's count it out this way. It's going to be 5 up to here, and then 10, 11, 12. Boom, boom. There's the octave. So the rule is if I go down 2 strings and cross the fault line, the octave is going to be 3 frets forward. What if I don't cross the fault line? I wouldn't cross the fault line on the top 2 strings, right? So I would cross the fault line on either the D or the G string. If I was on the E or the A string, I would not. For example, if I was here, wouldn't cross the fault line. Now the fault line, of course, pushed this whole tectonic plate to the right. So if I go down, the rule is if I go down 2 strings, then the octave is going to be 2 frets forward. That's possibly the most common octave people know about. But if I cross the fault line and I go down 2 strings, then the octave is going to be 3 frets forward. All right. Now let's go to we have the distinctive interval next time, which is going to be the minor second